Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. I am your host, June Archer. This is the Winner Circle. This is 50.com. My guest today, I'm super excited. If you don't know the band, you have been living under a rock. I just want to introduce who is going to be my new friend, Zoltan from the group Five Finger Death Punch. Zoltan, welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you, my brother. Very good, very good. Glad to be here.
Now, there's an interesting background there. I love the architecture.
Yes.
Where are you, or is that a mirror behind you?
No. I'm home. That's I move out. Yeah.
That's
It's
beautiful. That is beautiful.
with
Beautiful.
this name, with Zoltan, I have to have a fort of some kind. Like I have to live in some some crazy place.
Absolutely. With a regular name, you could just live anywhere, but Zoltan
Exactly. With
it
Zoltan,
comes with a
yeah,
little more
you have to
gravitas.
you have to have your palace or something like that, right?
Well, welcome to the show. I want to start by saying you as a group are doing some amazing things. Those who haven't had the opportunity to have discovered you as yet, where did the name Five Finger Death Punch come from?
So, good question. So basically, I'm a martial artist since I was a little kid. So all the Bruce Lee movies and all the martial arts movies were, my favorites. Like I love underground Hong Kong cinema. Those old movies, and there was a movie of Five Fingers of Death. So that was a good old, like a classic. And then when Kill Bill came out, right? They had this five finger exploding heart, whatever technique, right? And so we were seeing a movie theater. I'm like, man, that sounds so stupid. That should be a band name. And then pretty much here we go today. And, and basically we shortened this because, Five Fingers Exploding Lotus Technique would be a good sounding name. So, so I ended up picking Five Finger that much. It's sort of like an ode to, you know, Kung Fu and martial arts and this old school Hong Kong, martial arts cinema, basically.
I love that. For a lot of people don't understand the development or artist development when it comes to being a creative. Was that the first name that you guys came up with, or did you go through a myriad of different names before you found the one, which is Five Finger Death Punch, before you got to this one?
So basically, I started this project. I mean, all of us in a band were in various bands before, so we had a musical history before this particular band. And I started this band in 2005, and I started to record the first material that became our first album. And when you work on a new project, it's everybody can do it their way, but I always thought that don't name it yet because I think what you're saying, the musical content and your lyrics and how the band or the artist looks like and all those things together has to be a complete picture, right? So it was there were a list of names, and then this name Five Finger Death Punch got on this list. And as the band was developing or sound was developing, this was probably the closest as well. And all the other good names are already taken, so you have to pay. You have to look at the .com is available, right? But it's you have to pick a name that sticks out, a name that when you say it to somebody, people take a second look like what. If it's too average or it's too simple, it's really difficult to remember. So the world is really noisy, a lot of information coming at you. So you have to have a band name that both makes sense with who you are. So the look, the message, whatever you're saying fits this, and also it has to stick out somewhere. Like, it has to make you feel some kind of a way, or it's just too average.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because the first thing I got was Five Finger Death Punch sounds like a hip hop name, right?
Right.
To me. Now, I was signed to Electra Records by Sylvia Rohn, and the name of our group was called Room Service. And
Okay.
people thought that we were a rock band
Right.
because they just couldn't see Room Service as an R&B name. So, and it took a myriad of different names to get to that. But I love talking about the process because people fall in love with bands and artists, but they never get to understand all the steps that it took to get to where they are today. And we forget about the nuances. Like
Right.
how did you become the lead guitarist? How did you choose your drummer? Right? How did you come up with these names? Who has say so in the writing process, in the
Right.
creative process of putting together songs and putting together the track list for the tour, right?
Right. Yes.
I love getting behind the scenes, Zoltan. So I thank you for sharing that piece with us. How long you guys been together? You said 2005, but were there any changes with
So, yeah.
2005 and now?
So basically, I started this. Somebody has to start a band. Like when there's when a group is coming together, right? You can't really approach it like, well, I have an idea. You have to be able to show that idea. So it was originally me with my little recording, setup and recording the songs, demoing them that, and then when I had a pretty solid idea, I have 10 songs already, right? That's when I start to reach out to the rest of the guys that eventually became band members. Where, okay, this is the direction I'm taking. This is where I'm going. So I think you being a creative, you will definitely appreciate is that you look at the prospects for your project, be it a producer, be it band members, be it creative, writers, right? It's important that you find people that are with you, that are going to walk the same direction. So that was right from the get-go, the first conversation. Like, look, either you love this and you join, or if you have reservations or you want to do something else, then this is not the project for you. I don't want
Not
to
for you.
waste time, right? I don't want to waste time with creative arguments. Like, I had a very set idea. That's why I did the original songs, that I can show like, this is the direction, this is the vision. And if you're in, you're in. If not, it's not a band for you. Like, I really don't want to waste time with the creative differences. Eventually they develop anyway, but at least from the get-go, like, you got to have a shot. And that means if you have a nucleus, you have a creative group, and everybody has the same dream, right? There's a lot of willpower kind of honed into the same group. Like, everybody wants the same thing. We want the same thing creatively, we want the same thing emotionally, and we have a same goal. That has a lot of power. And that's kind of how this started. I started a band, and I started to recruit people that I thought were great as musicians, but they had to be they had to be somebody who thought like this is the direction they want to go to as well.
Right. They had to literally believe in the vision that you set forth for the band.
Right. Correct.
Yeah, that's super important. I want to thank you for that. I want to switch gears now because we're here to talk about the new single.
Yes.
This is the Way, featuring DMX off the new album Afterlife, Better Noise Records. I have to say, Zoltan, this is, and I think I saw DMC say this as well, this is the perfect storm, right? Of art coming together in a way that you probably wouldn't have put these two pieces together, but it just fit so beautifully. Where did the vision come to put the late great DMX on this record?
So a couple of things about it. One is that when you look at how these things are aligning, right? If you look at hard rock and heavy metal, what we do basically, what that came from, that was always the music of the rebellion. It either was against social standards or beliefs that society had as a whole. So hard rock, heavy metal was always a voice over the rebellion. But so is hip hop, right? So when the whole hip hop revolution started, right, this was also the voice on the street. This was also a voice of the rebellion. So I look at us as we have the same attitude, right? And from all the I have a lot of guys, rappers and guys in hip hop that I really like. But from all those, DMX to me always felt like, man, he's the metalhead of hip hop. Right, the dog bark, the delivery, like he was just that rough, straight to the point guy. Like so we were a fan of him to begin with, and both Ivan, my singer, and I both love DMX. We all jam it in our cars, and like it's a soundtrack. It's on in dressing rooms. So this is something we listen to. And maybe 5-6 years ago, we had the conversation like, how would be really really cool, DMX. And so this conversation started like maybe about 6 years ago. And you know how it is in this business. Like, I talk to my people to talk to his people.
And nothing ever gets done.
Right. And even there is social media, like it's hard to cut through. But so this conversation was an ongoing conversation for years and years and years. And either he was not available for various reasons, or we were on a road and it couldn't come together. So it's been a long winding road, but eventually started to come together slowly, and it happened today. But that's why, because I thought, man, he's a perfect voice. He's the perfect voice for this. He's already kind of heavy metal to me, at least, right? And when we put these two together, I mean, you heard the results. Sits perfectly.
The results are perfect, and I have to agree with you on a lot of things. But one thing in particular, Zoltan, is we saw a shift in culture when we saw Aerosmith and Run DMC come together and give us that classic record. I'm getting goosebumps as I'm talking about it. That's where we saw the shift to understand that music is to be enjoyed by many, and we don't have to be the genre. It's a
Right.
feeling, right? Music is a soundtrack to our lives, and I'm gonna get back to that piece. But you employed the video director, one of my favorites, Hype Williams.
Yes.
How was that creative process with Hype? Because in this video, you see DMX woven into the fabric of this video by the way of so much beautiful artwork and some of his energy. For those who do not know of you, have heard of us, please make sure you check out this video and song. This is a way featuring DMX. The video is superb. But Zoltan, what was the inspiration behind the video and the creative process?
So when we finished the song, this song was done maybe 2 years ago. And once the song was done, we had the masters. We wrote the music around his verses, and once the record was done, at that point you have to go through how many producers, managers, everybody's involved. You have to go to the approval process from the estate to the whole thing, and we thought like, man, maybe this is gonna take longer than we thought, right? Because we had the green light, but still, once the song is done, everybody wants to hear it, right? We have to be respectful for X. Unfortunately, he passed. He was taken from us. So now everybody who's involved, we had to get their approval, the green light from everyone, right? And as we were going through this process, we ended up putting out a record because we thought, man, it might take a long time. And that's why we're releasing this deluxe album, because this song was an important part of that record. And again, as a creative, this, when you make a record, every single song on that record has a purpose to be there. And even where it is in a sequence, it's important. So I always felt that our record is not done. That song is missing, right? Like now that it came out as a deluxe and the song is on it, I feel like now it's complete, And so as we were going through the process, and again, as obviously X passed, and we were like, how are we going to do this now? And how do we stay respectful? And how are we going to make a video for it? We're talking about an icon. How do we do this? Right. And we didn't want to reach back and just use old footage. How are we going to make this?
Right.
Somebody had the idea, like, what? Let's reach out to Hype. Let's see what he has to say. We knew that he was a collaborator of X, and they were friends. So, and he's an iconic video director. Whoever listens to it and don't know who Hype is, man, almost every video you love from MTV era, the 90s.
Go back and do your homework.
Man, he was practically a brick in that wall that he built this culture.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
Right? Like, who would he, and he used to have a waiting list for people to work with him, right? And it's like, who would be the best person for this? So we send the track to Hype. So this is to me, this is a milestone in my life too. We send a track to Hype. The song is 3 minutes long. Man, Hype calls me at 3 minutes 1 second. And so I know he just listened to it and he immediately called. And he was like, man, brother, you have no idea what you have in your hand. I have to be the director. Like, I'm telling you right now, I have to direct this because X was my brother, man. I found him, I put him in my movie, obviously, and I was there to his whole career. I love that man, and it's so much emotions coming up as he was talking to me, like, man, you have no idea what it means to me. I have to be here because it's a legacy piece, and this might be the last thing we're gonna hear from him. So, and that track is this track is a monster. I have to direct it. So imagine when Hype Williams tells you that,
he tells you that you are headed in the right direction. You are trending in an amazing direction.
Right. And imagine when a legend like Hype says, not like we had to ask him at this point. He was like, I have to direct this, right? And then literally maybe a week later, he was on a plane coming to Las Vegas. We're doing this, right? He just jumped in and came, and then generally, like, we write our music video treatments down to the time code. So usually what happens, like, Ivan or I or both of us writes down like what we want to happen in the video, This was by the time code. Like at this moment, this has to happen.
Wow.
That was our past. This was the first time, like literally, we handed over the reins to Hype.
You
Like, man,
relinquished everything.
whatever
Everything.
you do, whatever you want to do, it is you. Here's the steering wheel. You tell us where you want us to be, what you want us to do. This is just as your legacy as Axis, and now somewhat got to be part of that a little bit, you know. So here's the steering wheel. You do this, and that's
Now,
how this happened.
okay. All right, Zoltan. All right. So now take me to the day that Hype Williams says to you, all right, guys, I got the first cut. I want to share this with you. Take me to that moment that he presses play, or whether he sends it to you and you guys press play and you're watching. Take me back to that moment. What were you feeling?
So there were two of those moments. The first moment was that, well, actually three, because he came to Las Vegas, and originally he was telling me like, look, obviously I have footage of X. I did the movie, so I have footage. I have access to. I did his videos, so I have access to this stuff. But he's like, I don't think that's the right path, because if anybody would do this, that would be the obvious, that you reach for some archives and bring in some footage. So he goes, I don't think that represents what this is, and I feel that this has to be new. This has to be something new that people haven't seen before, or not archives being pulled together. So I don't think that's the direction. So originally he came down and says, I'm just going to record a live performance in a room, and I think I'm going to make it into a graffiti style animation. So that was his original plan, right? So he did a video. We went home, and maybe 2 weeks later, I got a little piece of video where it was pretty rough, but this is the sequence. This is how it looks like, and here's some animation and some stylistic. As you know, Hype is also a visual artist, so it's easy for him to do this stuff. So I saw that, I'm like, man, this is amazing. And then after that, he was very protective. Like he looked at it like, when you and I record something, you don't want to show it until it's done. You don't want to, you know what I mean? Because it's gonna be like, man, I'm not gonna show it to you because I don't want to leave it to your imagination.
Right. And I don't have to explain to you where I'm going to take
Right.
it. Like you just have to, when I'm done.
Right, exactly. So that's kind of what Hype's, work. That's how he was working, and that was his attitude. Like, man, I really want to show you, but I kind of don't, because I want you to see it when it's done. I don't want to, And we just trusted him. Like, okay, well, we gave you the reins, and let me know when it's done. And time was passing, and we were starting to be like, man, I mean, this is taking a long time. I'm getting nervous. Like the release time is coming, right? And Hype is like, brother, trust me, this is gonna be amazing. I have an idea. I have my way. And then maybe a week or so ago is the first time we saw it. Like, we didn't see any. He just sent it to us. And the first thing that happened, I got it immediately. When somebody passes in the community, what do you do? You put up the graffitis. You know what I mean? And it's almost always happens when somebody passed. So that kind of hit immediate, like, wow, he went there, he did that. He every time when X is shown in a video, it's kind of the style of graffiti, right? And I'm like, man, wow, it's brilliant. That's brilliant. I'm like, yes, I never thought of that, right? That's brilliant. Like, immediately, like, okay, because everybody does that. Like, when especially when artists or community leaders pass, then the graffitis up here, and that to me was like brilliant. And the rest of the video, I mean, it has that old school, especially New York up, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
East Coast.
It's gritty, but
Right.
refined, but
It
yeah.
has that vibe. So I'm like, man, he nailed that. So it's like, it looks to me, it's not a rock video, it's more of a hip hop video, or one of those old school videos, but it does have the live performance, which makes it rock. And then he put in the graffitis. I'm like, man, that's brilliant, right? So if you understand the culture, if you understand that, and you know his history, right, and what he built, it makes all the sense in the world. So
But,
for
but
you,
you
probably,
say,
right,
but you say, Zoltan, this is a deluxe edition. This
right.
song is added. Then
Uh-huh.
you have this video, you have these visuals. But the thing that I'm loving is that the album is called Afterlife.
Right.
Come on.
Right. And
once
it is.
again,
Yeah.
the perfect storm.
Yes. Yes. I mean, I believe in synchronicities, right? Nothing is an accident in this universe.
No,
I absolutely believe that. I mean, my entire life I can look back what happened, how it happened, and there's no way that all the things that happened in my life was an accident. There's no way. There's just the craziest synchronicities in there. So I got to believe that the universe is intelligent. I got to believe that information is truly not getting lost. It cannot be lost. I believe those. And is there fate or is there synchronicities? That's a big question mark of
big
life.
question. It's a big
Big
question.
question mark of life. I can only react to the things that happen, and these are the things verifiably happen. So the fact that this song was supposed to be on the record, and the record is called Afterlife, and even the fact that it didn't come out on the record, and now it's coming out on the deluxe, and you're right that this is on Afterlife for X as well, right? So yeah, I think it's another synchronicity that I can't ignore. That I don't think it's an accident. This meant to be.
No, it's not. At what age did you pick up the guitar, Zoltan?
Well, so I always wanted to be a guitar player, right? And I was really interested and very young, but I was an air guitar player, just pretending to be
Oh,
that.
yeah, I did that too.
All of us.
I play the air guitar still. I
Okay.
am
All
a
right.
drummer and a violinist, but I play a mean air guitar. So if you ever need me to join you on stage,
Okay.
I know you're going to be at Foxborough Stadium during
Yes.
the tour. We're going to talk about that in a second. But
Okay.
if you need an air guitarist, just for a quick solo,
All right. We can jam. That's
please, I
definitely.
could
All
jam.
right. I'll, definitely the air guitars. Definitely. So we can play some mean twin air guitars.
Absolutely.
It's like
So
most of us, I was an air guitar player. And then when I was about 12 years old, I mean, it's a kind of funny story that I got a guitar that was a broken guitar. The neck was good and some of the hardware, but it was a broken secondhand, crap. I grew up in a communist country, so we didn't have money to, what I mean? Like an average family makes $100 a month. So for me to buy a guitar was not an option.
right,
I had this secondhand guitar. So I took my parents' coffee table and a jigsaw, and like an actual saw, and I cut out a guitar shape and made a guitar that was like this. BC Rich has these, it's a guitar company. BC Rich guitars have these crazy shaped guitars. And there was a guitar called Warlock. It's a pointy, crazy looking, very heavy metal guitar. So I copied that and I put this together. It was also nearly unplayable, but it was metal, right? You know what I mean? So I was playing that guitar. That was my first guitar. And so as much as I could play on that. And then eventually, a couple of years later, maybe I was 14, 15, when I had an actual guitar. I play since that.
now we've taken, at least in the States, we've taken creative opportunity as it relates to arts and culture in school. I asked you that question because I want to ask you, how important is it to put an instrument in a child's hand at an early age in life?
I think it's necessary actually. The development of a person through music is I think, well, let's put it this way: music is multidimensional compared to words and speaking, so to speak. Like, just imagine classical songwriters. I'm talking about the Beethovens, the Bartoks, the Bachs of the time, right? These guys are playing musical pieces without words, and we're capable of transmitting a whole idea to you of complete visual pictures just through music. And one of the best example of this would be, let's say, Vivaldi, right? Vivaldi, you said you're a violinist, so let's go for Vivaldi. So Vivaldi has the four seasons, right? That piece is a
Right.
brilliant piece. If I play any of the seasons for you, it's 100% you're going to be able to tell me which one is winter, which one is summer, right? Which
Right.
one is fall, right? So how do you know? How did you know that? Right? So what is in us that understand music on that intricate level that you can play a musical piece and I can tell you, like, yeah, this is winter, yeah, this is summer, from this Vivaldi example. So there is something in us that recognizes the musical patterns. And just think about it. Music creates cymatic patterns in water, in sand, right? We are mainly water. So how frequency and vibration hits us, it's possibly changing our genetic makeup, right? So it's not just the idea that you have to think in a multi-dimensional level when we playing music, but also how the music itself affecting you, right? And another important aspect of this, in my opinion, when you play your instrument, you're not really thinking about if did I close the garage door or did I leave my stove? You're not thinking about, you're
No.
immersed in the music, and that is a meditative state. That is a meditative state when you're undisturbed. It's you and your instrument, right? And I think that state that is extremely important for spiritual development for anybody, because that silence in your mind, your being with the music, with the harmonies together, that is a sacred moment, I think, and I think all child should experience that.
Wow. Would you all, and I don't know if you have already, but would you ever perform with a symphony orchestra?
Oh yeah, I would love to, absolutely.
All right,
Imagine.
we're gonna talk about that after the
All
show.
right.
So, music is a soundtrack to our lives, Zoltan. For you, is there an artist or is there a song that best represents your journey up to this point?
Is there a song from our own repertoire? It would be a little bit like naming which one is my favorite kid. If I had kids, it's a hard one, but there are certain songs that I can see the impact of the song. So instead of looking at myself like which one affected me, but there I would probably quantify it by, you know our existence as musicians, our existence as artists has to be justified. Meaning whatever we created has to have a meaning for a mass amount of people, right? And the more people is affected by that, the more people are connected to that, the more important, sort of, at least for me, the art is, right? And so we had a song of Wrong Side of Heaven, and this song has, I think, like 400 and something million views on YouTube alone. And this was a massive song that to this day, I think it's already like 7, 8 years old, but the impact of this song, they still to this day people are reacting to it, and it's generating insane numbers because it's connected so much with people that I think it has a real cultural impact, and it's across genres. And that's also important, that we're not stuck in this little bubble of some kind of
Right.
a subgenre. It broke out of the subgenre, so to speak, and I can see the impact. And the video was about veterans and the effect of war on veterans, and and we created a campaign that was helping veterans with PTSD, raising money for veteran organizations. So if there was even a social aspect of this song that created a massive what would you say? I mean, it had a massive impact. I guess that's the best way to say it. To the point of some politicians and some major newspapers had to mention the song because it was making a difference. And,
Right.
and to me, I'm a guy with a guitar jumping up and down on stage with a pineapple on the top of my head and, being crazy. Sometimes I think of that, like, okay, like this kind of, you can say it like I'm an artist, so you can say this is ridiculous, right? So sometimes I have to have that feedback, like our existence is justified. If I get an email from somebody that, man, this song saves my life, I already have the right to exist. So I mean,
Mm.
that's kind of how I measure these things, and I think that would be the song that had the most impact as as in society. So I would pick that one.
That's beautiful, Zoltan. I appreciate that. Uh, Getting ready to go on tour. The dates have dropped this summer, this fall, with Marilyn Manson and
Right.
Slaughter to Prevail. This is a big deal.
Right.
First stop, I believe, is London, right?
So we have two parts of the tour. The first part of the tour is a Europe tour. That is mainly a headlining tour, and then we play some shows with Metallica. So Metallica has like 5, 6 stadium shows in there. We play that with those guys, and then the rest of the shows are festival headlines and arenas, right? That'll be headline, and then we come back, and the show you mentioned, that's huge because Manson haven't been out on the road for quite some time, and we look at it this way, that look, he's now sober and try to get his things together. And we had the same problem. We had our singer struggled with addiction. Same with X. Like their life is very similar. The love and the pain in their lives is very similar, actually. The struggle, and my singer Ivan got sober 6 years ago, and his dad sober ever since, and he's healthy, and he very much changed as a person. It's not the same person he used to be. I see this evolution, right? And now that Manson is sober, we definitely support that. Like another artist that was a very important artist, getting his life together, and and becoming sober, and trying to keep himself sober, and becoming an important contributor to society again, right? And definitely supporting that. So I'm looking forward to that tour. The other band, Slaughter to Prevail, that's an incredible. It's a very heavy band, but it's an incredible band. So and see, talk about synchronicities. So we always like that band too. So we're talking about Slaughter to Prevail, right?
Right.
We were watching their career, and a music video we did maybe a year or so ago, half ago. These guys wear these masks that they're known for, right? And we put the mask in one of our music videos. They didn't even know that we did that, right? It was kind of the prelude to, like, one day we're gonna get these guys on the road with us. So that's the synchronicities, man. You have to put it that in a universe, man. It
You
happens.
I agree with that.
Yeah,
The universe will reward you handsomely. All you have to do is make that contribution.
right, correct.
That's it. And before I go, you touched upon um, the battle with addiction, and I want to just ask you, for those who are watching and listening today who can't find the light at the end of the tunnel, what was the best piece of advice that you've gotten, or that you can share with somebody who's struggling with that and can't find that way out, may not have the village around them that is supportive, that is going to hold them accountable in a positive way? What is the best piece of advice that you could give someone today, Zoltan?
Well, two things. One, I personally never experienced that. I never had any kind of addiction, but I lived a life where a lot of people around me had a massive problem, and there were some of them that were so gone that nobody would give them a chance anymore, or everybody wrote them down like they are goners. There is no way back. And I saw those guys. One of them was my singer, who actually died a couple of times. Like, he was so gone that most people wouldn't think that he could come back from there, right? But a supporting environment also always important, right? But the example would be that he was so gone, and yet he came back, yet he got through that, right? So that means to me, like, this almost doesn't matter how far you down that road, you can always come back from there, right? There's, find the strength. Don't I think the worst possible thinking pattern here is if it's hopeless, right? If you think it's hopeless, just think about the fact that what a magical thing is to be alive, right? That you are in this incredible world. You assemble this experience, right? And what are the chances for you to exist? Every single ancestor of yours had to survive, right? So for you to be here, 1,000 years ago, some ancestor had to fight and survive, and did. And then they had offsprings, and those offsprings had to, same thing, had to survive illnesses, sicknesses, wars, the craziest things. So for you to be here, right, you had to have thousands of ancestors who were all winners. They were winners because your gene pool, your genetic lineage didn't get interrupted. The only way it didn't get interrupted, that every single one of your ancestors survived. That makes you a winner. That whoever is alive today, there's no loser today who's alive. Nobody. Anybody who's alive is a winner, because that means of tens of thousands of years of history. Every single one of your grandmothers and grandfathers and great great ancestors won somehow at life because you're here. You couldn't be here any other way. So look into the mirror and understand you are a winner. Do not throw this away. How many thousands of generations had to live and survive for you to be here? That is important.
Zoltan, I can't thank you enough. This has been amazing, brother. Your spirit is so beautiful. Uh, if you were paying attention, if you woke up this morning, you are winning, as Zoltan says. It doesn't matter how far you go off the beaten path, you can always make it back. Just make sure you surround yourself with like minded people who are always going to love on you. And listen, put an instrument in the hand of a child. You never know what dreams may come true because you did that. I'm June Archer. This is the Winner Circle. That is Zoltan.
Thank
Whew.
you.
Five Finger Death Punch, coming to a city or a country near you. New single, This Is the Way, featuring DMX by the great director, Hype Williams. You got to see it. And listen, I always like to end it in this way. Never leave the opportunity undone to tell somebody that you love them. It may be the last opportunity you have to do so. Once again, this is June Archer. That is Zoltan. Zoltan, thank you so much. Thank you for tuning in. God bless you. Peace.
Thank you, my brother.